Ho, ho, ho. Is Santa Claus coming to town? We've had some good dips over the last couple days. Had a nice dip overnight after the close. Buyers coming in. Pretty broad based, too. Will it continue? Some after hours action in Jebel Circuit. We'll talk about their earnings this morning. Tesla analysts, man, these analysts do not want to miss this rally. They're just buying everything. So we'll do a deep dive into ratings today. A very special guest at 8:35. Scott Red Dog Redler. He's going to join us from T3, give us his perspective on the markets, long-term and short-term. It's the last day with Brandster. Without the Brandster, I need another vacation.
The volatility right now is really incredible.
Wow, look at that consolidation on the upper right chart.
You know what we've seen this earnings season? Some of these expected moves get even more violent. And this is why I have switched my strategy 10 years ago. And if you're chasing, you're in trouble.
All right, follow through on that week close, but couldn't get anywhere near that Tuesday low. We're up 23 handles, knocking on the door of yesterday's high. The buck showing a little bit of strength here, up 38 cents, 98.17. See if we can put a little bottom in there. TLT just hanging out here. Maybe we got some lows here above 87, but still down 35 cents, 87.53. We're going to talk crude. We're going to talk about the Venezuela situation, the blockade, not good for inflation, good for oil companies. GLD civil unrest, it's up $1.32, knocking on the door, all-time high, 397.21. SLV up 209, 59.82, and Bitcoin just being Bitcoin here, not really rattling off that double bottom at 85. We're down $615, 87,180. Triple D, where are you? Let's talk about these markets. And you came up with the term, the check back market. Well, we've been checking back, but we've been coming back off these sharp declines.
I think, and I was doing some dip buying yesterday too. In the long-term account, also just, in the trading account, lots of dip buying here. We're going to get a seasonality period. And these are your seasonal dip buyers that are showing up here because we know this, they're front running a little bit of the Santa Claus rally here, which is the last 5 days and the first 2 days of January. Typically, this is a seasonally very strong period for stocks. And we've had a major tech dip. I mean, a lot of these stocks have really been beaten up and they're bouncing here. I keep going back to IREN, but if you look at this one, I mean, it's just such a poster child for what has happened to the Momo tech names. $76 early November. Here we are just over a month later. Stock at $33 yesterday. I mean, these are significant sell-offs. The AI bubble has burst. And now you got a clean setup here where you've got beaten down Momo names coming into a very strong seasonal period for stocks. So I kind of like these stocks. I'm kind of liking them. What I would say is you always want to stop yourself out on the lows of the move. So if you're making a call, just like we were even saying in Bitcoin the other day again, I mean, you got the low of the move to lean on here now. So if you think seasonality is going to take play, just check out IBIT. I mean, you have multiple lows stepping its way up a little bit here. I kind of like the buys. I think, you have defined risk, Joel. Because
that's the most important thing.
Yes.
Yep. I also want to talk about a real estate. You go in the beat up category. You go to Bloom Energy here. Up a few percent here in the pre-market. Shares down 40%, folks. 40% off their highs. It was down 6 out of 7 sessions. Lost 20% in the last 3. Kind of a proxy for Oracle, in this whole, data center power market. But, these kind of moves that happen shake a lot of people out.
Oh, yeah.
It shake a lot of people out.
I think we've seen that shake happen. I think we've seen some capitulatory selling in some names. You haven't had the whoosh. Usually it's leak, and then whoosh, and now it's over. So maybe we didn't get that. Maybe that's still coming. But I mean, Bloom Energy, you ask the person that bought this at $140, it's $87. There's been a whoosh, daddy. We did have that 1 day, 2 days, went 120 to 79 2 days. So we're retesting that low on Bloom Energy, the back from the low on November the 21st. And so far, so good. We haven't got back down there. I just think like the setup here is more for the bulls. And I know there's a lot of people who want to be bearish out there. Like Kramer was saying, everybody's calling them up. When's this AI bubble going to burst? Kramer's saying it's already burst. And I'm like, it did. He's right. He's absolutely right. It burst. And we didn't even notice because it's death by 1,000 cuts. Slow, steady decline in the IREN, slow, steady decline in the OCLO, slow, steady decline. Really Bitcoin led this thing. But, the SMR, like look at SMR. This stock was $57 2 months ago. It's $17. I mean, not saying I want to go and invest in a lot of these things. Musk thinks they're all zeros. Elon Musk is a pretty smart guy. But is there a relief rally in store for some of these names that really probably are the oversold category now? I believe there is. I think if you're coming here and shorting these things now, I think you're pretty late to the party. So I'm actually looking at buying dips. I bought some Nebius in the long-term account yesterday. And it's /swing /long-term. But I mean, it's just beat up. I mean, is AI story over? Is it dead? No. The AI story is not dead, folks. Obviously everybody's going to tell you the same thing. But is it cooled off? Yeah, it's cooled off. The luster's come off it a little bit. The crowded trade's coming unwound. What do you do when that happens and the story's not over? You probably start nibbling. So I do think there is some nibbling going on in some of these beaten down tech names. I mean, Tesla's had a great day yesterday. Go to Tesla. It is very resilient. We've been calling for $500 a share by the end of the year. I'm doing that.
You have. Don't give me no credit.
I have. I've been calling for Tesla $5 man there. $4.89. It's $11 away. They come out with bad news last night, Joel. California may stop sales of the cars because they don't trust the full self-drive. Stock tanks last night. Goes all the way down to 482, 483.
I got under 480, Dennis.
Under 480. So it's down $9 last night.
479.12.
On that initial headline, because algos just hit. They don't think about seasonal dip buyers. They don't think anything like that. They're like, oh, it's bad news. Hit it. They knock it down $9 in that initial headline. Comes right back. Elon Musk will find a way around that. But I mean, it's just this is where we're at right now. There is some prevalent dip buying here. Tesla has been a completely different story than all other tech stocks, though. It's on March. It is the strongest one. It's the strongest of the Magnificent Seven. It's the strongest of the Momo names. I mean, the dang thing hit all-time highs yesterday where you got Momo that has just been killed. So, this is not like the others. They are marching. I do believe 2026 is going to be the year where we hear a lot more about physical AI. And this is the physical AI company. This is the company, like you got like smaller ones like Rich Tech Robotics. I recently picked up some SYM because it's beaten down. I think, but I'm just starting to position myself here because I believe it's going to be the year where we start talking a lot more about physical AI, self-driving cars, robotics. I mean, I know I'm going off, but we're kind of getting all our news in here right in this opening segment because Waymo, we got news on that too with Google yesterday. Looking, to raise more cash. What are they talking about? Like $100 billion valuation?
Talk to raise several $1 billion, perhaps as much as $15 billion. That would put a valuation of $100 billion, which would be $45 billion, up from the $45 billion, a little more than a year ago. The company rapidly expanding through the U.S. It hopes to do 1 million rides per week by the end of 26. Part of these places, they're going to open service in Dallas, Denver, Detroit, Houston, Las Vegas, Miami, Nashville, Orlando, San Antonio, San Diego, and D.C. And they are also looking to go overseas in London in 2026. So they're ramping it up.
They're ramping it up. And you know what? That's Google. It's moving out. Could they spin it off? Could they spin off Waymo? You think in 2026? There's been rumors about this. There's no confirmation about this. But if they did, what's it do for Google stock? On the initial announcement, we're spinning off Waymo. I mean, I think it pops.
You know what I think Google should do? They should spin off Waymo and YouTube.
Spin it all off. Break it all up. But the problem is they're Alphabet. They like having all
No,
these
they already
companies.
reneged on that. They already reneged
Yeah,
on
did
that.
they?
Yeah, well, because the reason they went from Google to Alphabet is because they were going to buy a company and with every name in the alphabet.
Yeah. Now they're
Right.
saying they're not going to do that?
That was like 15
Or did
years
they
ago.
already do it?
I
They
don't
own a
think
lot
that,
of companies, Joel. Maybe they already did it. I mean, the X is going to be tough. I guess,
yeah, US Steel.
Yeah, I know. It already went off the board. Speaking of steel stocks, this is a good segue here. You have, not so the tech stocks are starting to turn a little bit here. Value had a really bad day yesterday.
It did.
They literally, it's value versus growth. And we've been in this value market for 2 months. Well, they decided they wanted to buy growth stocks yesterday. And I was talking about the potential on the S standard. I talked about the check mark trade. Check mark trade is literally just a check mark, so we can just go look here. Basically, I just draw it for you. Check mark trade.
Oh, you're
Dang.
doing it again. You're
What's
doing
the
it on
check mark
paper this
trade? We
time,
called
I
this
hope.
yesterday. We were saying it on the cues, on the text. They open here. They dip a little bit after the open, and then they start to rally all day and close near the highs. Bring up the cues. We called this, and people in the STN room, we called this at 8:30 or 9 o'clock in the morning. I was like, I think we set up decent for the check mark trade. Well, the cues, it was the sloppiest check mark. And,
It was very
JV's
sloppy
in there. He's like,
mark.
you had some double dips. It doesn't clean like that. But you know what? It ended up being like that yesterday. So I think that's where we were at. And the opposite happened with the value stocks. I don't know what you call an upside down check mark, but they open, ran up a little bit, and then they dip. Berk.B not having a great day because it's value versus growth. Does that mean the value trade's over? No, I don't think so. But I think it's growth. Value's been going for 2 months straight here. I think it's time for growth to have its day. Seasonal picks, I think growth stocks could get a little bit of money back into them. So I'm a buyer of dips on growth stocks. But going back to value stocks, you have Nucor and Steel Dynamics, two value stocks, steel stocks there, both lowering guidance here this morning. So Nucor, NUE, coming out, lowering guidance. They're seeing $1.65 to $1.75. And then Steel Dynamics, just a few minutes ago. So 7:33 at 7:30, sorry, you have Nucor. 30 minutes later, Steel Dynamics says, well, we won't be outdone. We're going to provide our guidance here too. It's $1.65 to $1.69, which is a bit of a lower for Steel Dynamics as well. Steel Dynamics is trading down $6 right now. Nucor is trading down $3. Now we still have seasonal dip buyers, and they may emerge in some of these stocks here too. But a little bit of warning here in the steel sector this morning. Thoughts, Joel, on either of these stocks?
I own the Steel Dynamics, and I have for a long time, so this is not going to be shaking me out on anything. I'll just look at it technically here. I like to, there's a lot of air between 160 and 165. I'd like to see it if they're going to stabilize this. They're going to get it back over 165, but momentum continues. It looks like that low right before you had to sprint up to that recent high was right around where the 50-day is at 157.07. But I mean, you got to look at it, if we're not going into recession, if the economy's still humming along, or I still see a lot of big buildings going up. Don't you need steel for data centers and stuff? I mean, yeah, they give some guidance. I would be careful not to get Pfizer.
Interest rates going down helps steel companies for sure.
Yeah, just don't get Pfizer on this. I mean, they took it down, they brought it back up, and then they slammed it down to $25. So we'll see if they
drugs had a bad day yesterday. It was full on growth. It is this market right now. We are growth versus value, not growth and value, growth versus value. So when growth stocks start to pick up, and they did, slow and steady climb most of the day, it is at the expense of value stocks. We're selling off here a little bit right now, Joel. I don't know if we got more news. This market's kind of funny here.
I was just trying to look at Nippon Steel here real quick. I just wondered how they were doing, but let me see if I can get some news here. No, I can't get this to pull NISTF.
I can't do those 5 simple stuff.
I haven't done much.
What about Oracle? Going back to tech stocks here. Here is the most beaten down name. And I mean, it's got its own problems. We know that. It's down here again this morning. Every single morning, it seems like it goes down. It's down another $1.10 just because this is what Oracle does. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's stabilizing. I mean,
trying to stabilize for the 22nd time and then just tanks again.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it's this 185 level to me is still relevant. I mean, you had to shake out on the dailies. You had a couple lows at 185, and then you pressed it down that one day to 180, 140, nice reversal. And then the buyers resurfaced again at yesterday's low at 184.49. So I just think there's huge buyers here between 180 and 185. If you want to take a poke here, like a real long-term poke, looking at a rebound here, give yourself down to, give yourself, if you're looking for even a 50% retracement up to 240, I have no problem looking at this, at 187, 188. I mean, don't even worry. Don't even go, oh, I'm going to go at 180, 140. Give yourself some room on that, because it's certainly trying to form a base here. It has done it a couple times, but you look at it, this low that it made only one time, but now you're getting 3, 4 lows in this area. To me, that shows a patient buyer in this area, 180, 185.
News hut, HUT. So here's another company that has just been beat up as well, but bouncing back significantly here this morning. Mr. Elconin, they are announcing AI infrastructure partnership with Anthropic. We have seen these Anthropic pops stop before. But maybe, just maybe, we're in a little time where they're so beat up that they're going to start affecting stocks again here. I mean, that's kind of when the AI bubble burst, was when they stocks started popping on Anthropic or OpenAI headlines and then tanking right after. I mean, here we are. It also signs $7 billion AI data center lease with Google. I mean, there's some headlines, good headlines here with HUT this morning. Give me some technicals on this one.
Well, just for HUD, it's up. What's trading now? Trading
20%.
25%, 15-year,
Oh, it's moved up further.
245 megawatt AI data center lease with Anthropic, Fluid Stack with Google providing financial backstop, valued at $7 billion over the base term. Let's see if this, we're tanking, man. What is going on? I can't keep track of everything here. Do we have some
I
news
know.
here?
This is where we're missing the Brentster. Brentster's coming back, and he'd be like, "Guys, we got this, we got that, we got this."
Is it Waller? What's Waller saying?
We have
Waller
Waller
me.
talking right now.
Yeah,
Could
Waller
be.
me. I can't.
Chat, help us out here. Me and Joe are running a
Man, I
skeleton
can't
crew
even.
here.
We're in a fast market here, and let's see. Let's go to the chat. Do we see anything? I think, just all things considered equal, I think I'm looking at Waller, and he's talking. I don't know. Is he a dove?
Probably. No, he's
No, I mean
he's borderline.
there.
He's probably
Okay.
saying something.
But it just going in. Let's see if there's follow through on these kind of moves, and I'm just, what's popping out to
I
me.
got the Waller commentary, by the way.
Okay.
So Waller says 2026 could turn out to be a better year for the economy. Hopes that the job market helps, as the Fed rate cuts have helped the jobs market. Jobs market is very soft. Current payrolls growth is not good. So he's talking about the economy being somewhat weak here right now. Inflation is above the target, but should come down over the next few months. So he's talking pretty dovish here, but also talking about, like, that they're seeing some current weakness right now. Maybe that's spooking the market, that you got a Fed official talking, that, hey, we got some problems in the jobs market right now, just spelling it out, not saying anything. Again, what's the name of the show here today? Seasonal dip buyers. I'm going to go with they buy the dip.
Yeah, and Jay Rice is pointing out Oracle here. Oracle getting slammed. 816, $10 billion Michigan data center in limbo after Blue Owl funding talks stall.
They got some problems here where they maybe just committed too much money here, and they've taken on a little bit too much debt. So I do see that headline here as well, and Oracle going down again. Every time you think Oracle's stabilizing, they come out with a bad headline where people are seriously worried about Oracle defaulting, which is a crazy thing to say. This has never been talked about. Or Oracle just hit all-time highs. It's not completely crazy, though, because maybe they're just overspending. So we hope that's not the case. But man, there's problems at Oracle. It's why I lighten up the position. I had it, and I'm like, as Tara was probably my worst trade of the year. I bought in, and then I'm like, I don't know what's happening here, and I'm lightening it up. So I lightened up some, I think around like 210 or something like that. And
I
now
know.
it's 188. I'm still holding a little piece here, but it's been a terrible trade for me. But it's tanking here again, and this is bringing down the market. So I think we could blame Waller. It appears it's more Oracle bringing down the market,
Yeah.
because now Oracle, being down 5 is putting weight on the tech sector. Nvidia has went red here just now. So just as when you think the AI trade's ready to bottom, then you get a bad headline from Oracle again. Blame Oracle. Normally, the markets, we blame Joel, but today we're
You
blaming.
don't, yeah. I mean, Dennis, I have to take the flip side. I know you're like the seasonal dip buyers and the Santa Claus rally and stuff, but I think there's just the way this market feels. There's sellers into these rallies. People are lightening up, man. They're like, I'm up 22%. I'm gonna send out my year-end statements
For
early.
sure.
I'm getting the hell out of this stuff. I've gotten smoked. I've had some great gains and stuff. So, and that's the way this market's been. It's been, seesaw. Like, look how great we looked on that rally off the jobs number, right?
Yeah.
Unemployment's
And
going
then they
up.
sell
That's
it
a
right
good
back
thing.
off.
And they sell it. I think,
It's a lot of chop right now.
yeah.
And there is not a lot of people calling what I'm calling. Like, this is a contrarian call that I'm making. Clearly contrarian. Your momentum traders listen to this and they're saying, are you nuts, Dennis? These things are all still way below. There's been death crosses, way below the 200-day moving average on a lot of these stocks. But, I'm a turn trader. I'm not a Momo guy. I'm a little bit of a contrarian. I am a contrarian through and through. I like calling for turns. I just think the setup is more to be, Oracle harpooning this a little bit here this morning. But I think we're coming to a seasonally strong period for stocks. So that's why I'm nibbling in. Am I going all in? No. And I think we can add. I think we start to see some good strength and we start coming in even more. But, definitely Oracle hitting stocks here a little bit this morning.
Yeah, I mean, I just said, hey, well, they're listening to pre-market prep. They're like, slam me, make me look wrong. Let's see if buyers emerge here in the 180 to 185 area. That's where they were. We're actually perilously close to the low of the move. The low of the move comes in at 181.40. So lighter volume yesterday on the rally. That's a little bit concerning. You need a big up day, big volume day. Everyone's convinced that it's going up, but
watch the low on Oracle. The
yeah,
181.40 is a big number here. Yeah, people are concerned here again. I mean, I don't know these concerns if they're legitimate or not. They was talking about these concerns started around 250 on the stock, and it's continued and it's picked up steam. So, I mean, this is Oracle's either one of the best opportunities that we have seen in a very long time to buy, or they really did overbite on their commitments here and overlever themselves, and they put themselves from a very strong balance sheet to a very weak one. I don't know. Like, I tend to think Oracle is going to win. It's hard betting against Larry Ellison, who we were talking 2 months ago is the richest man in the world. It's hard to bet against him. But have they overcommitted? I, it's hard to say. I mean, maybe they have. I mean, if they start, being so reliant on just OpenAI and some of these other, it could be they've created themselves a little bit of a balance sheet issue here, which is crazy to think about.
Yep, definitely. There's your driver in the markets today. We wanted to start out the show with some macro news, right?
Mm-hmm.
We haven't talked oil in a long time. Trump has ordered a complete and total blockade of sanctioned oil tankers moving in and out of Venezuela, designated the government as a foreign terrorist organization. How much of an impact this is going to be on the oil market? Well, we can only look at the immediate impact here. And USO, after making a low of the recent move yesterday, is getting a pop. Is this just a pop and drop here? Or are we looking, is this the value trade, which is kind of,
Well, it cooled off yesterday for the first time. Does the value trade get hot again? It could, but oil's definitely in the value trade camp. I mean, there's so much geopolitical stuff happening here right now. So for oil too, I mean, the whole Venezuela situation that impacts oil as well. There's a lot of macro headlines driving the bus with oil here right now. What we will say is oil has come down substantially. What we will say, if interest rates are coming lower, in 2026, I don't think is necessarily a bad thing for oil. I also think, We still need oil, even though, we're trying to move and get away from our dependence on oil in a lot of areas. I mean, it's still, it powers a lot of the world here. So oil is not going away. These stocks are all ridiculously cheap valuations. ExxonMobil sold off hard yesterday, bouncing a bit. I just look at the technicals though, and I think a little more dead cat bouncy than like this is the turning point for oil.
XLE, I mean, it's, despite oil, I mean, it's well off its April low. The XLE and these charts do not look as bad as the USO by any means, or the crude oil chart, but it's a little bit of a pop. We'll see if it gets any follow through, but geopolitical impact on the market here, very hard to ignore. You wanna talk pot? Dennis?
Yeah, they want to talk pot stocks. They are hot. Trump's still driving the bus here, the rumors, and I don't know if there's anything more materialized here overnight. I didn't check the headlines, but all the pot stocks are up here again. I mean, the one my buddy Mike's texted me last night, the one that they're all playing is MSOS. This thing has crazy volume. It's already traded 1.5 million shares here this morning. It's up another 7%. This was $3.50 here 10 days ago. And now we're talking about 690. So just doubled. Been a big move. So, I mean, if you're coming in now, you're definitely chasing. No doubt you're chasing. Chasing in this market has not been the thing to do. But people are trying to get ahead of this, Trump coming in and potentially, making pot legal in more states, or at least deregulating it more. So, CGC, huge pop, Tilray, huge pop. Tilray's went, I know JV in our chat, a great trade on yesterday, took from 12, and I don't know if he's still long it, but moving up here. But Tilray just beginning in December, $7 left for dead, 14. All these stocks just doubled.
Well, doubling from a low price. Someone mentioned
Still a double.
It's still a double, right? VFF getting. I mean, these things got some momentum. They get the Reddit, crowd behind them. They fit the bill of a lot of beating down stocks, getting rallies.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing with this is that you can hold the position, but all of a sudden, if he changes his mind, boom, all your profits go up in smoke. So,
well, I think he's, and again, sometimes it can be the case where it's buy on rumor, sell on news too. We could get the official announcement, Joel, and a lot of my good news already been priced in. Like, let's call these stocks, which I have hated these stocks for a very long time. If you've been listening to the show for the last 10 years, I've just hated these stocks. Tilray was $3,000 a share in 2018. It's $14. I mean, people who bought these things 5-6 years ago are never getting their money back. These things are long gone. They're never getting back. Tilray is never going to $3,000 a share. CGC is never going back to $600 a share. It's $1. I mean, when stocks fall 90%, it's pretty much they're not coming back. Are there moments in time where we can trade these things? Trading vehicles? Absolutely. Are the pot stocks great investments? They've never been great investments, folks. They never have. They were trading vehicles back in 2018, 2019. Like I was saying, you got, when we were talking about Afria, and I know it's down there in Leamington, then, I was doing the comparison back then, and people hated me for this. But you had a greenhouse full of we have a greenhouse full of tomato plants and a greenhouse full of pot plants. Literally same size greenhouses. The greenhouse full of tomato plants are selling for $10 million. The greenhouse full of pot plants selling for $10 billion. Something didn't add up. Anyways, you found out the hard way if you held all these stocks, because obviously Tilray taking over Afria and it's down 99.9%. So you lost all your money if you were banking on that. At a certain point, as the valuations make more sense now, I mean, they're not as crazy as they were, but they're still not very reasonable. Tilray is still $1.6 billion company. It's still no profits. Yeah, they have some shares. I don't know. I mean, maybe at this point in time, but I just think the pot stocks were never investable. I think these are trading vehicles. That's what I think they are.
Yeah, go with the momentum, and this is something where you parcel up on the way up, and I mean, even because you even don't know what the reaction's going to be, right? After, what about old Constellation Brands? Remember when they bought?
Oh yeah, they took the big position in Canopy growth. You know, they wrote all that off, I think. You know, they wrote it all off. And it was a drop in the bucket for Constellation Brands. Meanwhile, they are downgraded today, if you want to talk Constellation Brands. They're getting downgraded from Jefferies, downgrading them to hold. There's a stock that's been really beat up. I mean, it's pulled back here. You know, it's come back a little bit recently, but there's a stock. Constellation Brands was $274 a share. It's 141. Stock's been cut in half. This is like booze. I mean, it's a staple. I mean, maybe it's, you know, we're getting to a point where microbreweries, you can talk because they got, you know, obviously beer, you know, like sales and stuff. But, you know, what's happening with Constellation Brands? That's a good just question. You know, is the luster off these booze makers here? Like we saw what happened with Samuel, which is the Boston Beer Company. At one point in time, Sam was $1,200, $1,300 a share. It's $200. So, I mean, it's just competition everywhere here now. But, I mean, the Constellation Brands, there's some good brands in here. You know, Constellation Brands. Let's look at them. Constellation brands. Give them to me. AI, let's go. Constellation brands. Corona, Modelo, you know, big beer. Like, there's just a bazillion brands here. Those are probably their big ones. Corona and Modelo. But then there's a lot of booze in here, too. So... I don't know. What are your thoughts here, Constellation?
I mean,
is this a great buying opportunity, or is competition just coming?
People are smoking more pot and drinking less beer.
There's a point there too, Joel. Actually, that's not a bad call too. There's a point there.
Yep. I mean, the beer business can decline. You know, they had a 4% decline. Now that's only a 2% decline. But you know, earnings are coming down, beer consumption's coming down. I mean, what's going to turn it around? What's the catalyst?
I mean, the forward PE is 11. It's low. But if you think like Joel's theory, where people are drinking less, maybe doing some more weed drinks, doing some more weed as they legalize it, it's probably not great news for them. I mean, they were involved in weed too. I don't know if they still have any of the CGC, but I mean, I just look and say, hey, you know, forward P is 11 on this puppy. I guess the current P is 20, so I don't know like why the big difference there, because usually these are pretty stable. Price to sales, you know, that don't matter on these, you know,
it still has a 26% stake in, I think, in Canopy Growth,
which is worth nothing.
Yeah,
I mean, they invested, and you know that stake is, you know, CGC has went from again $600 a share to $1, so its stake is really worth nothing.
You think people are boycotting Mexican beer? You know, with the trade war and everything, could that be? Could that?
Well,
be
there's a thought process too. I didn't consider that either. Are they tariffing? Is there tariff issues here?
No, but there's
no. Well, they may be.
I could be. We'll have to see. I mean,
chat. There could be tariff issues here too. We got a merger. 8:30 announced. UWMC. I hold that in my long-term accounts. I'm not loving this. To acquire 2 Harbor investments in a $1.3 billion deal. The deal UWMC is acquiring. We got a share arbitrage for you. 2.3. I'm gonna write this one down.
Who they buy? What's the stock symbol?
TWO. Is getting bought by UWMC. It's an all-stock deal. 2.3328 shares they're getting. Is it all stock? All stock. 2.33 UWMC for every TWO share. On the all-stock deals, they always hit the acquirer. So my UWMC, unfortunately, which was doing really well here, Luke Jacoby pick. We bought this because decent dividend, interest rates going down. I think it's good for them. They're getting hit on this. So a little bit, not down much actually. They're just kind of holding up. It was down more just a few minutes ago, and 484, and now it's back over 5.
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to get a lot of action on that one. Just a quick segue here. Lennar had earnings after the close yesterday.
Yeah,
one of the only significant earnings reports. They missed. Decent miss, 203 versus 221. Slight beat on sales, a mixed report on this, 9.36 versus 9.017. You know, they gave some decent numbers for 2026, but not what the street was looking for. I had an expected move of 6.5. Ho, ho, ho. We're down 573. So that expected move, you had the close. That takes you down to what? 111. And what do you know? The option
What do you know?
guys, what do you know? The option guys are doing okay today. 110.50 was the low, so right near. You want to get away from this expected move. You don't want to flirt with it. You don't want to hang out down 573. You want to show some spunk here and get away from that expected move. If you're looking for a gap fill, you got to get all the way up to well, not that far for this stock, Lennar, 116.70. And you said they were nailing the ETF the last night because we were looking
Yeah,
for
nail is the double short. I think it's a double one on, I believe it's XHB. No, it might be what's the other one? The home
home
builders XHB.
builders.
Is it an XHB? The nail is a double short on XHB? Or is it there's another ETF, ITB? Is that it? ITB too. I don't ever know which one nails on, but it's a double, or is it a triple? Nail triple? I get all these things confused. It's a triple. That's why it's a triple short. NAIL. So they nailed nail on the Lennar earnings. I mean, we're coming again into a period where interest rates are going to start going down. So the earnings weren't great, but if we really are positioning yourself for like 2026 with interest rates going lower, you got to kind of think that home builders are probably going to do well with interest rates coming down. So I tend to think like, somewhere around $100 would be a pipe deal. I don't think it's going that low, but I think there's going to be more dip buyers in this stuff. I mean, here's a stock with $190. Here's a stock, Lennar, even when you look at the lower guide, is still trading. These are really value stocks. Like, I mean, big time. It's trading 12 times earnings. So even with the lower guide. So yeah, it's not great, but I mean, these stocks are cheap. Maybe there's a play here.
Yeah, I don't know. And do we have any other significant earnings after the close? Was it
Micron? Micron.
No, but last night. What did Children's
last night?
Place?
No, it's just Lennar.
What was Children's Place the day before?
No, Children's Place was last night, so I didn't put them as significant though. You can talk Children's Place. A retail darling was a meme stock for a little bit. They came out and basically said, "Look, we suck." It's down 34% here in the pre-market. Children's Place having an ugly, ugly morning here. 480. Do the memesters come back and defend it? Maybe, but I mean, Children's Clothing Store, PLC, the stock at one point in time was $150. It's $4. I mean, story's kind of over here. Red Dog's in the background. We got the Red Dog.
Okay. All right.
Let's run that intro. We're not as good as this as Brent. Joel's finding it. He's like, where is it?
Yeah.
Joel, where's the intro? We need that Brentster back here.
Oh, come on.
You need me to do it, Joel?
Man, I just have.
Okay. Sit back, relax, and watch this.
There he is. Scott Red Dog Redler from T3. How you doing, Scott? It's been a while.
It has been a while. How you guys doing? Happy holidays.
Yeah, happy holidays. We're just enjoying this back and forth market. And I'm going to start out. Is Santa Claus coming to town?
Is Santa Claus coming to town? I don't know. I feel like yesterday was a small step in that direction. I think maybe he was loading up some presents in the sleigh as the Qs, showed a little relative strength for the first time since last week. And some names showed a little relative strength, that hasn't happened in a little while. But then again, there's some potholes like today, this morning. Now all of a sudden, Oracle's coming out with that news that they might not get funding from one of their data centers, and now Oracle's getting hit a little bit. So all in all, here's a chart of the Q. So this is what I was talking about. Like you guys, know the whole red dog reversal tactic where, if you sold 623 when we broke the 8-day last week when it was really weak, you had an opportunity, to buy when it reclaimed 609 versus 606.91, which is a red dog reversal around the 50-day. So in order for Santa Claus to come a little bit, something has to give you a step in the right direction. So that was a small step. Doesn't mean it's a huge step, but for me, it was a small step. Besides, some individual action has been pretty good, but it's been very, very, very specific. Like it's been a tough 2 weeks or more in tech. In the Mag 7, it's been very just range type trading and less is more, all those cliches that we say as traders, but that's been the case. Tesla's been my bread and butter, and you guys know I love Tesla when Tesla's in play. So at least Tesla showed relative strength for the last pretty much since Friday. That was like your extra entry when Tesla showed relative strength on Friday of last week, when the spies and the Qs were rolling over. That gave you some clues that maybe that could hold up. And it's hard for that to hold up by itself, but it had a nice move to 491 yesterday and could probably use a day off today. But ultimately, they're not giving money away. Rarely do they. But I would think that there's some things to do between now and Christmas that could make you money. But either you're here and you're really on top of things, or get to the beach, get to the mounds, and call it a year and start fresh when you could pay attention in January.
You kind of feel that. I mean, we had a nice pop off the jobs number yesterday, right? And it, looked like, hey, we're coming back. And then, so it just kind of feels like we're in a little bit of a limbo. You have some people that are like, man, I made it through that April low. I didn't get out too quick. Here we are. I mean, it feels, because some of these, high PE stocks have gotten pounded. It seems like we're so far away from the all-time high, but we're just scratching the surface on it. So I think some people are taking that beach attitude and they're selling into strength, where they're buyers. I also want to ask you, we have the seasonal factors going on. We're out of earnings season. The analysts are doing a lot of work so they can take their 2 weeks off. We have the quad witch, which is probably now a triple witch, because I don't think we have any single stock futures options anymore. Do you think that that's playing into a little bit of the volatility? A lot of times you have big turns in the market on these expirations. Do you think that that's a factor in this choppy market we've had?
I don't know, anyone who tries to gauge like these the rebalances or the quads and this, and they start on a Monday, they get their clock cleaned, and then sometimes all you have to do is wait till 3:52 on the day of it. So I try not to play that game. I'm not smart enough. Sometimes everyone's, oh, there's a sell and balance in Apple, it's going to get crushed. And then they're shorting Apple all week trying to play the sell and balance, and then it doesn't happen, and they lose a ton of money. I'd rather just look at the action. I just think that, like you said, you talk about April, that feels like 10 years ago. You had a 20% move to start the year. A lot of people made money short, or at least were out of the way, or had a choppy time. I know for me, the first quarter was a tough quarter. I was flattish, but then I made really good money in the second and third quarter when we had more trends, when there was more, stocks making higher lows and higher highs, like you said, with the high PE names and all those, until they made their peaks, and they all made their peak in October. And then the Mag 7's been tricky. It's been trickier, but you don't need to, you don't need a stock to make a new high on the year to make money tactically. Like you mentioned, the high P name. So watch, I want to show you something like with ASTS, name that everybody loves. Everybody loves ASTS. It was great. You look at the chart here, you had this bull flag right here that gave you that blow off move from 49 to 102. Look at the red dog reversal right there. That was a red dog reversal around 99.13, extended from the 8th day. That was your out. Some guys were waiting for a short there. I know my buddy Todd, he cleaned up millions of dollars waiting for that short, but then you had guys who made millions here. Where do you want to play it? So anyway, came down, rebuilt, made a move to 85. And then like yesterday, stock was down. And I was doing my 6:30 club. I'm like, hey guys, you want to make some tactical cash flow between now and Christmas? Maybe you could buy Verse 65 and a quarter for reclaim 67.53. You can get a move back to 72. So it's a different type of frame trade. And now if you look at ASTS is it's up $1.40. It's not a hell of a, but here you are at 69.73. You had your risk. If you got out of the way, what a move. And then you have some room to the moving averages. So sometimes you have to look for those little types of trades, especially if you trade for a living, especially if you want to get paid over Christmas, and especially if you get judged, quarter to quarter. I get paid quarterly. So if you want to stack days and stack P&Ls, sometimes you just need to know what type of trades you're looking for versus huge trades that everyone thinks you could find, and they're hard to find.
I mean, these stocks kind of all move together. The nuclear names, you have the ASTS, RKLB, obviously the quantum names. They all started to show a little bit of life yesterday, Scott. Like after the open, well, I was calling it the check mark trade, where we kind of opened, we dipped a little bit, but then we just slow and steady climb the rest of the day here. Do you think there's like follow through coming here? Or is this just, like you said, just a short-term little bounce here? And overall, a lot of these stock charts are still broken, and we just got to take what we can get. We get these 4, 5, 6% moves in a couple of days. You just got to take the money and run. Is that where we are?
Well, on a portion of it, look back again, right to ASTS. Last time when I got long ASTS here at 57 this time, and I got out of it, I was just I didn't think that it was going to have a big stretched move into this. Sometimes you never know. You can just map it out. And then it went to 85. I felt like a jerk, but I was like, fine, I took my trade. So now you have a higher low, and the question is, here's 72. That's the 8-day. It's below. So, the easy trade from a red dog reversal at 67.53, buying adverse here, you got to take some off into that. I would say take a little bit off, up 2%, right? 2.1%. Take some. If you use a tier system, which is what I use, just say you have 1,500 shares, and you bought 15, you bought 500 versus the low, 1,000 through 67.53. You take it home, you sell 500 here into the 70, and then you hold the 1,000 and see, and trim and trail and manage it. For those who think they have the answers, they're full of crap. They just play a trader on TV usually. So at this point, a little bit of a tactical play. Are we going to get a huge move like that? I don't know. I don't think so. So I would take it. Same like you said, they all move together. Look at Iron. Iron also had a great move, topped out. I remember this red dog reversal sell here. It's been for sale ever since. Played one little trade here, I think at 41 when they had the money raise. Made some money, got rejected into the moving averages, and now if you got out of the way, you had a chance to buy versus the 200-day. Then it reclaimed 35.36. So you want to say, hey, where can it stall, or where can it still be buyable to? Then you have 39.52. So same kind of thing. You watch them as a group. Stock's up, not a whole lot. It's up 1.4%, but again, that's a tactical little trade. You can make a few $1,000s and run away. Not every trade's a $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 trade. Sometimes it just is what it is.
One that looks different and one that's got really hit hard, Palantir, over $200, sells off quickly to 150. But this one's showing a lot of more strength than a lot of these other names. It's like the leader of the retail community. They love this stock. And Tesla as well. I mean, Tesla and Palantir are showing great relative strength compared to some of these other Momo names. What are your thoughts on Palantir?
I like it. I'm not in it, but like I know there are guys shorting this, and like you said, like a lot of these names have been battered and bruised. This one's above the 8-day, and it showed relative strength yesterday. So the way I framed it is I frame it, like I put the chart, I put language. Okay, so this is my language here, for those in the alpha team and those who follow, whoever it is. Anyway, Palantir is trying to prove it can be better than most names, which it has. It did hold the 21-day, which was here. 177 to trade against. So if you're long, you could be long versus that as your defined risk. Okay, we'll be interesting to see if you can get above and stay above 190, which would show momentum, because there hasn't been momentum except for Tesla and a few others. So if all of a sudden Palantir can get above it and hold it and goes, then it's showing you, hey, maybe Santa Claus is coming. Maybe these things are more than a broken bounce. Maybe you can stay with them. And that's the market telling you. That's Palantir telling you. That's not CNBC, Bloomberg, this person, that person. It's this goddamn stock right there. You look at the stock, look at the moving averages, and trade it, according to how it's moving.
Scott, before we let you go, I'm just going to talk about Bitcoin here. 125K, been leading the market higher, kind of sold off before the market, kind of hanging in here. What's the red dog setup here, Bitcoin, at the $87,000 level?
It's just, it's really nothing. You should be in gold and silver above the 8-day, gold and silver making new highs, gold and silver showing momentum. Bitcoin, we're lucky that it's not a headwind. It did make its false breakout here, and it's been below all the moving averages since. So this I'm using just as a barometer that if it's out of play, it doesn't become a headwind. But if all of a sudden Bitcoin, I thought 88 would be a level, but it held 85. I would just say, if you think that it's going to have a Santa move, maybe there's a little bit of room up towards 96-ish, 94-ish. But I'm more, looking at to say, hey, is this going to hold 85? If it doesn't hold 85, and if it wants to go back down towards 80,500, this could become a headwind again. So right now it's just kind of like left on the side. If it's not leading, it doesn't matter as much. But when it becomes a headwind, the market cares. Same way like with Oracle today. Oracle came out with that news. Yesterday Oracle finally bounced a bunch. A little bit, like this, like a tiny bunch. So now the news on Oracle brought down the whole tape about a half hour ago because this has been a battleground spot. So you look at Oracle right here, Oracle, if it's just down, it's only down 350. That's okay. It's not, the market's not going to care too much. But if Oracle started to break this 181.41 and making another leg, and they're talking about funding problems and data center people pulling out, that's the bear narrative right now. So you need to know what's the bear narrative, what's the bull narrative, what cares, what doesn't matter, and you connect the dots and you make money. So Bitcoin holding 85,000 is fine. Oracle holding 181.40 is fine. Those things start breaking, and then all of a sudden be like, hey, if they're going to let these things break, maybe they're not going to let something else work the way could work.
Okay, we've been on the line with Scott Redler, founder of Red Dog Mindset, chief strategist at T3 Live Trading Group. Scott, always a pleasure having you on. We'll be dialing you up soon in the new year. Thanks for coming on.
Sounds good. Looks like you guys are, making progress, doing your thing. You've been around for years. It's good to see some of the old dogs still adding value, making money, and staying the course because, there's not many of us out there anymore.
All right.
Thanks, Scott. Great to have you back.
All right. Be well.
Okay. All right. I'm going to add my charts to the stage here and just let you all know that these charts are brought to you by TradeStation. Chart, analyze, customize, all in one platform. Make use of all the trading tools, order entries, radar screens, scanners. Brought to you by TradeStation. Just wanted to get that in here. As we go back, Oracle,
Oracle did hold the low.
Yeah.
We talked about it when it was going down. We said, and Scott, funny, points out the same level, that 181 needs to hold that. That's the battleground. It's got to hold that number. Below that, it gets dicey. But as long as it holds that, I think he's exactly right. I think he summed it up really well. People are, aren't going to care too much if Oracle's down $3. Oracle's down 10. They're going to start to hit other stocks as well. So in the AI sector, in the tech sector. So right now, so far so good. Holding the bounce, buy the dip. So my whole thesis is I think we have underneath demand right now coming into a seasonally strong period for stocks historically for some of these beaten down growth names. So I've just been nibbling a little bit. Anything can harpoon it. We get a bad headline. All of a sudden, if Apple came out, and said, oh, we're not seeing the sales.
Not selling iPhones anymore.
That would, harpoon. So you always have to, when you're setting up technical trades, you've always got to know that fundamentals will trump all. Fundamentals will trump technicals every single time. Fundamentals build the technicals to a certain extent. In the absence of fundamentals, you can totally trade technical trades. But if you come out and we get a bad headline, something gets said, geopolitical risk, anything, it harpoons the market. So, you always got to be ready, as a risk trader, as a trader, you're just taking on risk. You always be ready at the exit button. If, you get, a headline that's going to nail you on the market. Oracle's scary, but good response to it. It was like, okay, they're not coming in and knocking this down $20 on this headline here right now. They knocked it down 5, and now it's bouncing a little bit here. So as long as it holds on, I think to Scott Redler's point is I think we're still okay to try to nibble a little bit on some of these beaten down AI names. And they're doing good. IREN up having a good, pretty day. Nebius is still holding up very well today, up 2.5% here. So, and then, the nuclear names, which have just been absolutely nuked, showed a little bit of sign of strength yesterday as well. A little bit of hope. Oklo bounced right near, bring up Oklo, Joel, 79.01, the low on the 21st of November, 78.67. That's close enough to say, hey, there's a potential. We don't know. It's going to be a potential for a double bottom in Oklo. And if you've got that potential here at 84, now you're risking $5. Takes it out, you get out. But, there's setups here where people might be buying off that 79. Now you get a little dip down to 81, 82, probably a little bit of underneath demand there as well. So I think we're actually in a situation where we have overhead supply and underneath demand. And maybe that just keeps us bouncing around a little bit. Like maybe the whole thing's going to be chopped. So we can say, oh, yeah, we think we're going higher. We think we're going lower. We also could just be going sideways for a bit because we got a big battleground between the bulls and the bears on a lot of stocks.
And I just want to kind of bring it broad here. I'm going to bring up the S&Ps here. And you're hugging this 50-day. You're just hugging it. And you're trying to get away from it. So far, the dips, this one was pretty substantial and in November and it was bought. But just don't like it hanging out here so long. And we know once stocks, or futures or whatever trading instrument loses that 50-day, you can't automatically look for the 200-day. That's way down at near 6,400. Same thing with the Qs. We're just hanging here. Actually, the Qs are below the 50-day. So if you want to if you want to put the mindset on, and this is for the indexes, of course, individual stocks are different. You have to give. But right now, I like to see us. Get away from that 50-day moving average. I just want to give another quick word here from our sponsor of the show. Great segment with Frank Holmes
He's
yesterday.
so good.
Yeah, he covers
So
so
good.
many things, man. I could talk to that guy for hours. He
Yeah,
just knows.
he just knows so much about everything. Like you can go anywhere. Like obviously, he does the Jets. He has Jets ETF on Hive. He's wearing so many different hats, even including his Santa Claus hat from yesterday here. But I mean, he just knows so much about everything. You can go anywhere with him. He can talk crypto, and he can talk crypto like better than anyone. But I mean, he can also go in other parts of the economy and talk to stocks there too. You just pick his brain. The guy is like just smart. Like Frank Holmes, we've known him for a long time. He's a fantastic speaker. He's done so many things so well. So, but talk Jets here for a second here too, because
Well, I
the
just want to
airline
read the show is
keep
brought to you
going.
by Hive Digital, global
Yeah,
leader,
go.
green powered data centers for Bitcoin mining, high performance computing, and AI, operating with nearly a half a gigawatt of renewable energy. Hive is on track to capture 3% of the world's Bitcoin production by the end of 2025. Scan the QR code on screen or visit the link in the description to learn more. Dennis, you talked about a after hours buyer in Delta. Delta traded up near all-time highs. All-time high yesterday. The Jets ETF is he talked about his digital nomad. That was probably back October, November. Wow. That's a pretty looking chart here. So people are spending, and they're spending, they're traveling. And then that news yesterday, or I don't know if it was the day before, you can start financing your flights. That got affirm above its 50-day moving average. Dennis, we had all these things written
We
down
also
on
had news last
ratings.
night, Joel, too. After you left, Spirit Airlines
Oh yeah.
talking about a merger on the restructuring with Frontier, and ULCC was trading up significantly last night, still is trading up significantly this morning. So we do have some news in the sector. Frontier Group, ULCC, trading up 8.5% here this morning. So just trying to bring you all that news. Obviously, this movement here in airlines, they've been very strong. It's funny, like American Airlines, just like going like that one too. Delta, like you were saying, UAL is not far from all-time highs. If that's not an all-time high, which is an incredible comeback, really close. 116, it's 112. So I mean, we've really come back on a lot of stocks here too. So this is not this rally what we talked about before, which was an AI rally most of the year, broadened out 2 months ago, and it's kept broadening out. Like yesterday, some of these stocks came off that had really been running, some of these non-AI stocks, but the airlines were not that. We also get Carnival Cruise Lines on Friday. That's going to be interesting. The cruise lines, like I said, I just was down in Dominican. Airlines packed. Like the Punta Cana airport packed. I mean, I got to think people are still doing stuff. They're still going places. The YOLO market, even if they're hurting, they still want to go on trips. They still want to do stuff. I kind of think CCL sets up pretty decent into the print here. I mean, RCL has always been kind of best of breed. It's off significantly, so maybe you want to play it that way. Norwegian, you could go. We got the big four, and then Viking VIK has been a monster moving up here as well. But we get numbers from CCL Friday morning here, and the bar is not super high here. The stock, has come off the lows, but you think about where this was at $65 a share back in 2019, and we're $28 here now. From a valuation perspective, CCL is not crazy expensive here either. We're trading 11 times forward earnings. I mean, maybe, just maybe, there's a CCL play here.
Oil coming down certainly is helping the bottom line, right? Less expenses. That's
that helps too.
Yep.
Not yesterday, but overall oil's been coming down.
Oh yeah, today that little bump. Dennis, give us your favorite. I mean, we got to cover all these ratings in the STN room here because there's just a ton here. Do you have a favorite rating that you would like?
Well, I think one out of the blue here, which we haven't talked about for a while, is Airbnb. And the stock has been in consolidation station 2. If you're looking at a longer term chart, which you can look at the bottom, we've kind of just been hanging out doing nothing. I mean, really, for the last 2 years, we've been 120, 130, 140, just kind of hanging out. Obviously, back in 2021, we're $220 a share and just got too high. Well, RBC is coming out this morning, and they are upgrading the stock to outperform, which is a buy there. They're raising their price target to 170. And they're kind of talking the same way I was just talking. So it's funny, I opened the note and I see similar commentary to what I just said. The analyst comments, after 4 years of being sidelined on the name, we upgrade Airbnb to outperform as an increasingly attractive brand monetization story with strong 1P data, which is likely worth a premium in the evolving consumer AI landscape. They talk about the stock being 22 times EBITDA 2026. So it's not an expensive name either. I mean, we can look at, a lot of these names, and the ones that really got hit were the stocks that had crazy high PEs. But Airbnb, which at one point in time was trading like 60, 70 times earnings, is now down to, on RBC's estimates, 22 times next year's earnings. So not crazy expensive. Question is, is the growth there? The growth has slowed. We know these stocks, obviously, we've talked about the BCG matrix before. They start, and they move from stars and eventually goes down to cash cows. I mean, and that's where the growth slows. And sometimes, you don't want to be there with the higher PEs. The PE is starting to come down here. Revenue growth is still 11%. EBITDA margins 40%. I mean, the company's still a decent company here. So is there a play for Airbnb in 2026? It's had a decent run here lately. RBC says yes.
All right, it's been kind of sleepy. It's had wish you would have told me had this rating change a while ago. Hotels are doing good, so I mean, they're I don't know if they're cheaper. There's definitely more of them, bigger operations, but this is a nice rally here. Man, little bit of a chase, maybe get a pullback to the 130 area. That really kept the lid on it and all of October, and then finally busted through that. So a lot of air on the upside here for this. Let's see if you get a quick reversal or a follow through off the open
so
here.
Oracle is denying.
Yes.
Oracle Blue is talking about this $10 billion Michigan data center in limbo. They're denying it now. They are saying it is incorrect here. I don't have exactly what they were saying here. I'm just digging for it. But they said the deal is still on the table. So they're coming in here and saying equity. So just breaking here at 9 o'clock. The equity deal on Michigan Center is still on schedule, is what the Oracle spokesperson says. So they say BS, it's still on schedule. We've seen these. We see these headlines coming out where they're harpooning Oracle, and then they're coming out and they're basically saying, no, we're calling BS on this. So Oracle is bouncing back a little bit here again this morning. It's going to be a really interesting setup. And if you haven't joined Stock Trader Network or given us a trial, you can come check us out over there. Just because this day, we're really at, the crossroads here where we've been beaten up on a lot of the momentum names. Some are starting to show some life. Tesla and Palantir looking great here. But, you're starting to see a little bit of life. Some luster comes off the value names, goes into growth yesterday. We're real battleground here, folks. So stay tuned. There's going to be lots more information coming out at us, but dips are getting bought. And that Oracle dip got bought as well.
Looking for an inside day here. You know why? Because we got CPI tomorrow. And you know who we have on? We got Blue Putnam, former chief economist at the CME. He will guide us through these numbers and the Fed outlook. So, but tomorrow, the most important thing about tomorrow is the Brentster will be back. So thanks for joining us here on Pre-Market Prep. Back with you tomorrow.